on this issue. We are talking about MC 11224. And I should, just for the record, properly introduce myself, Delegate Lily Chi, Chair of this Economic Development Local Committee. And we are having a work session on MC 11224, which is also HB 1364, related to the Office of the People's Council on Land Use. Just by way of background, since it's been quite a while to refresh everyone's memory, our committee, this is the first year we took up this bill. And so a lot of members are not quite familiar with the background and the context, a lot of the issues that people are pushing for or against. And many of us have received tons of emails on this issue. So the office first was created by then council member Ike Leggett over 3 decades ago by his legislation to help communities understand land use issues mostly. Yes, I have. So since then, of course, we have become a different community, right? It's more than one generation later. Montgomery County has drastically changed and dramatically more diverse. So I think it's fair to reevaluate the merit of this office and see how it can, if it exists, how it can best serve today's Montgomery County going forward in light of the housing shortage crisis that we have been talking about for a long, long time. And the other thing is I kept hearing from some colleagues that the council had like more than a decade to figure this out. Why haven't they done anything? That is partially true, but the other side of the story is this is a brand new council with 6 women just elected about 15 months ago, right? And this is a problem they inherited. They have we should give them the deference to and the time to figure it out on their watch. So we're talking about really only 2 budget cycles, not 14 years, okay? So I just want to make sure we have the whole context before we get into the discussion. And the council just in 2019 enacted something called the Racial Equity and Social Justice Act. So they are basically saying we need to look at everything under that framework. And this bill heavily focuses on the word underrepresented, right, as one of the primary functions, which is fair to say the council needs time to figure out how, in light of their new enacted act, this office or position can best serve today's Montgomery County. And finally, the council is the body in local government that has oversight over land use. Which is another point that I want to remind everyone. So whatever we do should be reflective of that spirit, okay? So having said that, this is not about whether or not this office itself is a good idea. It's more about the context historically and also administratively. So I give a lot of credit to our chair, Delegate Plakovich-Carr, for serving the members to get an assessment of where people were on this. And we came up with a compromising bill in consultation with many different parties. You should have received it in your inbox. If you don't mind pulling it up, let's have a discussion. I understand since you just got it, you might need some time to think about it before we vote on it. So I'm not going to call for a vote today. We're just going to have a discussion and take your questions. Okay, so thank you for your indulgence. Let me turn it over to our Madam Chair of the delegation to make some remarks as well.
Thank you, Chair Chi, for the opportunity just to walk through what's in the amendments at this point. I have reached out and checked in with every member of our delegation, and that really has informed what is before us at this point. We're trying to put something together that actually has a chance of passing our House delegation. And based off of the feedback that I've heard from all of our members, that's resulted in the amendments that are before us today. And a big shout out to our DLS counsel, Jen Young, for working very late last night to get these amendments finished, and with all of the craziness and security incidents that were going on, here at the complex yesterday. So basically what the amendments do is it still creates a position of People's Counsel. It would be a position that would be selected by the county council to provide outreach and technical assistance and information specifically and really focused on populations that have historically been underserved in land use planning. So we call those out as low-income residents, renters, residents with disabilities, and residents who speak a language other than English at home. and also reference the county's Racial Equity and Social Justice Act. So any other groups that would be covered under that framework. The position, if you look on page 2 of the amendments, talks about being an independent source of information to educate residents, to provide technical assistance, to provide guidance on effective participation in the county land use process, and conducting proactive outreach to residents of the county. Let's see. Otherwise, the position would be located in Park and Planning. There's a bit of kind of a technical reason for all of that if folks want to get into those reasons, but we do need to specify that in the legislation. I think that's kind of the big picture of what's in the amendments, but happy to take questions on anything.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam Chair. Let me call upon our Vice Chair of the committee, Delegate Queen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My apologies, because I was trying to get my hand up before you started reading. I don't see this amendment. So when you say it's in my inbox, has it been sent to my state or to my personal email? Or both?
I'm sure it's our office account, Ralph.
Office account? Okay,
Yeah,
so
Ralph can confirm, yeah.
okay, all right. So I was looking through there briefly when you were talking, but I didn't see it right away. But
Ralph, is there a way to put it up on the screen to share?
well, no, it's not good. I mean, because we're not going to vote on it today, so I'll talk about it. We can talk about it later. But
Okay.
I did have a question because I think the way Chairman, our delegation chair stated when she was presenting this, that I guess with her discussing with others in the delegation, that there's a need to pass something. I'm a little concerned about that posture that we're taking because as Delegate She mentioned, this has been long standing for decades as a issue that seems to have been a disagreement or whatever between the county council and the county exec on how this position gets funded. I do understand the need to possibly look at it now because in the light of 3 decades of living in Montgomery County, I've actually lived here 4 decades and has seen how it's changed. So it makes sense to look at this position in different contexts. But as Delegate She mentioned, this particular issue really has only been on this new county council's kind of radar just for the last 2 years. And so the need to do something this session with this, I find that, I mean, I don't understand the rush in that sense. I think that, we're here 4 terms. If we've highlighted the issue that they need to start to do something to learn to work well together. I don't want to step in every time. I don't think we as a state want to step in every time we can't get agreement between the county exec and the county council, because that's the nature of their working body. If anybody's lived here in Montgomery County long enough, knows that the first time somebody runs for county exec, they say 2 things. I'm gonna change something the prior county exec did, and we're gonna bring back more money from the state. Like that's their campaign slogan, right? So, and as state officials, we know that second issue isn't always true. So anyway, I think the best approach is to, now that we know what this issue is and we brought it to their attention, maybe take back the concerns that we've raised, some of the amendments that you've talked about, but let them solve this issue. If they can't solve it in a year, then come back next year and do it. But the idea that I'm going to rush to get a bill passed for this particular issue, I don't think is warranted.
Thank you.
Chair, could I provide some additional context?
Sure.
Yeah, and Delegate Queen, thank you so much for sharing that. And I certainly, respect your opinion. I think it's very.
Uh-oh, you froze. Looks like. Uh-oh, Madam Chair, I think you froze. Let's give her a few seconds.
You gotta love the bandwidth and the
I know.
bandwidth problems.
Yeah.
And there were
Good.
the most people who were interested in passing something. It wasn't, my internet is unstable. I don't know if any of my comments have come through.
We lost you for like.
You lost
maybe
me. Okay,
20
I'll keep my
seconds or so.
camera off. Yeah. Let me back up. In talking to members of the delegation, I heard a wide range of opinions of where we should go. And there were certainly other members who shared, the viewpoint that Delegate Queen did about like, let's give this time, or this isn't our role to step in. But there were also members, nearly equal number, who were interested in just passing the bill as is with Senator Kramer's amendments. But the largest group of members were people who wanted to do something, not quite the bill that was before us or the amendments, but they did want us to act this session and to create a position. So I'm trying to, hear all of the feedback that we're hearing from members and try to get to somewhere that is a compromise that, hopefully a majority of members in our delegation can live with, and is, a path forward that is acceptable to most, if not all, members of the delegation. But this we'll say has been a very tricky issue because there is such a divide in terms of the opinions of members of the delegation on it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Very important context. I appreciate that. And thank you, Delegate Queen. Let me go to Delegate Wims, whose hand is up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I did get a chance this morning before the meeting to read what you sent, and I just wanted to make sure I have it correctly with the amendments. This would start, if passed, July 1 of this year. That's one question. And then the second question is, I guess, along with that, same line of question, is the funding pretty much approved? So I guess that's the one question: is the funding approved, and would it start this year, 24?
Yeah, the bill as amended does say July 1st, 2024, and which is the, and the funding, of course, which is the beginning of the fiscal year for both the state and the county. But as far as the funding approval, I think we leave it to we ask the council, this bill would mandate the council to fund it, but we leave the council to decide how much to fund it, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, Delegate Fraser Hidalgo.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to both chairs. I know this has been a very, very hot issue, both in the council and in the delegation. I know it's a little bit of a for those sci-fi fans, it's a little bit of a Kobayashi Maru. Like, if it's hard to win this one, right? To get everybody. So I just want to say thank you to the both of you, because I know you worked really, really hard with all the conversations I've had with you. I guess you got to multiply that by, I don't know how many, I guess 26 to get where you are. So so this doesn't go said enough. So just a big thank you for all your work.
Thank you, Delegate Fraser Hidalgo, and kudos to our delegation leader. All right, Delegate Wallach.
Thank you, and good morning. I also wanted to chime in with my gratitude to both Chair Chi and Chair Polakovich-Carr. I know that you've been very dedicated to figuring out a path forward on this. I appreciate the work you've done on the underrepresented piece of this legislation as well, because I think it's really essential to give the resources and the voice to people in our county who need it. And if this is the direction it evolves, I think it's a positive change that we've made as a body. I also want to just clarify one point. Some people have said that the current council has had 2 years, but I think they've had a year and a couple months, right? Because they got sworn in.
Yeah, I was referring to the budget cycles.
Okay.
But yes, this current class
This
of
current council has
members
only
is
had
right,
a year and some change. And
yeah,
as a woman myself, I appreciate giving the new women in the county council a wide berth to figure this out, even as we share our thoughts on where this might head.
Thank you, Delegate Wallach. And you and I had multiple conversations on this because you're a new member, and I appreciate your good work. and ideas as well along the way. Do I see any other hands? Let's see. Okay. Do any of the do any of the members have questions about any of the revised language in this amendment? Yes, Delegate Kaiser.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to make sure I heard something correctly in the description that both you and Chair Polakovich-Carr mentioned something about in creating the position, it's still leaving it to the council to fund it. So does that mean the council still could choose not to fund it?
No, with this bill, if we pass, the council shall fund it. Yeah, and how much is up to them, but they need to fund it. Okay. Any other questions? As I said, we are not voting today, but we want to make sure all of the questions are answered, that you have time to go back and think about it. If anything, you know, if you want to propose your own language or whatever, this is time to do it, but we also need to do it fairly quickly, one way or the other. So want to make sure we wrap this up for this session. Okay. I don't see any other hands. Madam Polakovich-Carr, Madam Chair Polakovich-Carr, do you have any final thoughts on this before we call it a day?
I don't. I just want to thank all the members on your committee, and especially you, Chair Chi, but everyone in the delegation for providing their thoughtful feedback over the last several weeks. You know, the conversation continues. Please don't hesitate to reach out as you dig further into the amendments.
Great. Thank you, everyone. I will see you on the floor. Appreciate all your input.